Okay, welcome back. In this final module of the week, we will be running the chi-square tests in SPSS. And so the way that we do this one single test is for the single variable chi-square test, we need to make a few changes. So let's go ahead and do that. Transform. Actually, I'll show you how and I'll show you why we need to do that first. So let's go to Analyze, Non-Parametric Statistics, Legacy Dialogs, and chi-square. This gets us to the single variable chi-square test. And as you can see, gender is not here. That's the one we want to test. And it's not here. And that's because it is not a scale variable. If we go to variable view and go to try to change gender, you'll see that scale isn't available. It might work if we do ordinal. Let's see real quick. Yeah, it doesn't even show up in its ordinal. It could also be because it's a string input. However, if we don't change the values to a number before we change the string input, all the data will be lost. So we just need to transform the gender variable into 0s, 1s, and 2s to represent the different genders in our sample. So we'll go to recode to the same variable, gender, move it over, all new values. Let's go 0, excuse me, need to go female. Let's go female as the marker. So male equals 0. Female equals 1, and other equals 2. Okay, let's do that real quick. Back to the data, and so we don't get lost, let's change the value labels. So it was 0 was male, 1 was female, and 2 was other. So that'll help us, that'll display it in our output. So now we can change this to a numeric value and click OK. And as you can see, all of our data was kept. If we had, like for example, if we were to change the race or the country to a numeric value now, all that data would be lost. You need to, if you change it to a scale or a numeric value, you need to change it over to a series of numbers first. And we'll just change that to a scale. Good and easy. Now we can do our test. So back to non-parametric tests, legacy dialogs, chi-square. We can select the gender, move it over, and now we need to turn the chi-square test on. So go to options. Actually, let's have descriptives. Go to exact. I guess we don't need to do that for this one. That must be the other one. I get a little confused on them sometimes. So let's go. That looks good. Click OK. And as you can see, there's our mean between our 0s, 1s, and 2s. That's not really a very understanding, very good telling of our data. But you can see here the data looks very similar to what we just ran, where you've got the male, females, others, expected ends, just like we had before. The chi-square statistic is just the same, degrees of freedom 2, and it is significant. So that is exactly what we expected to be based on our calculations. Fantastic. So let's go and try to do a 2-sample test this time, or a 2-variable chi-square test. So to do this, you go to Analyze and Cross Tabs. And this can take any type of variable, any variable type. So let's do gender again by let's go country. And this is the one where we need to turn on the chi-square. So we'll do that there. That looks perfectly fine. Check out our cells. We want the observed. Let's show the expected counts as well. looks good, and we'll click OK. So there's some descriptives that aren't very telling. Okay, so here is our table. You can see the actual count of each gender in each country, as well as the expected count that SPSS has calculated. We've got the totals as well. So here's our chi-square value that was calculated by SPSS and the degrees of freedom for this test. As you can see, it is not a significant test. So we have violated an assumption running this type of test. So your expected value needs to be greater than 5 in each cell. So we don't have enough power, we don't have enough participants to run this test without a fix. So SPSS did that for us. So this is actually a good value because the change has been made. There's been a statistical calculation that accounted for this assumption violation. Doing this by hand, we would get a much different value. But because we wouldn't be able to factor in the change of the violation of the assumption very easily. But SPSS did that for us. It's very nice to have. And as you can see, the relationship between gender and country of residence is not significantly different from what we would expect by chance. So that is it for the chi-square test. If you have any questions about anything we covered this week, feel free to ask them below. Otherwise, I will see you next week.